What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, an armed society is a polite society. It's Desra. Let's be fair, I just found the first gun control quote I could find.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Actually, you know what? I have one that's been on this laptop the entire time.
Yeah?
A list of things that will kill people. Conceivably anything and not guns. That's from, of course, the Night Vale branch of the NRA. And sitting across from me, of course, is Brian Paul.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we try not to get into political conversations, and then we try to dust off an old PlayStation VR game, hopefully something from around the launch time. We blow the dust off of it. I'm going to stop doing that. It's so cheesy. And then we take a look back and see if it's aged well, if there's been any improvement since launch, if the developers have patched it, if they've given it any love, and we tell you, over the course of about a half an hour or so, whether it's any good or not.
Yeah.
That being said, what game did we pick this week?
This week we picked a not quite launch title.
I would say launch window.
Launch window.
Yeah.
Lethal VR.
Yeah. Lethal VR.
I've learned something about myself. I have no idea how to spell the word lethal. Every time I type it, I end up with something different. There's just some weird hole in my brain for where lethal goes.
Maybe you spent too much time at the Assembly Bar and Grill.
We're waiting for those royalty checks, folks.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So Lethal VR is developed by Three Fields Entertainment, a British developer who is famous for their stellar titles, Dangerous Golf and Danger Zone.
Danger Zone is pretty new. That came out fairly recently.
Cool.
And Dangerous Golf actually, it kind of looks a little bit of fun.
It reviewed well. People really liked it. But more importantly, you're going to say it. Don't let me steal your thunder. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if we're going to say the same thing, but they're the folks they mostly come from Burnout.
Yeah, the Criterion Studio.
Yes.
Black and Burnout. These are the guys who made some pretty stellar games back. Well, I guess this was like the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, GameCube era. We'll give them a pass. But yeah, I mean, Burnout, one of my favorite racing series of all time.
Absolutely. What if we make the game about the crashes?
What if we do that?
Yeah. Which is actually what Danger Zone is, but
nice.
Even more so.
We always try to do a little bit of research on the developers themselves.
Yes.
So the first thing I did was I went over to the Three Fields Entertainment website. And I got a little mission statement from them.
Yes.
On their website, it says, "We are an independent studio formed in 2014 and based in the UK. So far, all very factual.
Yes.
Our goal is to make games that put smiles on people's faces.
Yes.
All right.
I like that.
Sure. We also believe games are better when played with friends. These beliefs underpin everything we do at Three Fields Entertainment." Desert, how many players is Lethal VR?
Well, here's the thing. It is one player.
I was like, I knew I couldn't get a straight answer out of you for this one.
But it's one player, but it's set up very much so you can hand off the headset and have someone else beat your scores.
Okay, sure.
So, yeah.
Sure. But also, there are global leaderboards.
Yes.
Or at least online leaderboards. I'm assuming they're global.
Yeah, though that was a weird thing. The first time I fired it up, worked, saw the leaderboards. From then on, couldn't see him. Could never see him again.
It depended for me because basically I left my PS4 running all day and I was hopping back in and out of Lethal.
Okay.
And depending on when I did, sometimes I saw the online leaderboards and sometimes I didn't. So I don't know if you need to do a full game restart.
Okay.
Either way, who knows?
They
are there though,
yes.
And I found out that I can't seem to get ranked above 12,000th in the world on any of the levels. So who knows?
I don't know my global ranking, but it is. I mean, it does kind of like bring us right off the bat. This is an arcade shooter, and it lets you know first thing. The very first thing you do is actually enter in a 3-letter code for your name.
Yeah,
just like good old fashioned arcade games. So, there's something
like
I kind of
initials.
Initials, yes. Well, not necessarily. I mean, you could put whatever in there if you like.
Put ass.
Yes.
Or butt.
Of course. But.
Or bob. Because there's not an extra letter for boob.
Just a very hesitant butt. But it's just, I like a game that's kind of like, this is what we are, this is what we're doing. This is an arcade game, go.
Okay, so what kind of game is it then? It's an arcade game that you do what?
It's a shooting gallery. Really?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a nod to it being like an FBI training simulation thing, but there is really no plot to speak of. It's just you get in, they give you a scenario, you execute the scenario, and you move on.
I took a little look at the description of this game on the PlayStation Store, and yeah, it does say step into the shoes, in quotes, step into the shoes of an FBI recruit.
Yeah, but that's...
And then about halfway down the description, it says step into the shoes of an action movie star. And I was like, one of these two is accurate. Well, and the other one is not. Action movie star?
No.
No.
I'll go with the recruit thing because that actually is language they use in the game itself.
Yeah.
Those different like levels of amateur, recruit, professional, dangerous, deadly, lethal.
So they give you a gun.
Yes.
Because you start the game up.
At least one.
And you start the game up and you've got your move controllers in your hands and they're both lit up with the bulb different colors, and then the title screen starts up and they give you a gun to shoot the menu screen,
right?
And your left hand is blank. Your left hand is just empty. There's nothing there. There's no hand. There's no gun. There's no nothing. Nope. And I was like, man, does this only? It's been a while since I played it. I haven't played it since a year and a half ago. I was like, does this only use one move controller? Because I couldn't remember.
Sometimes.
I went on the PlayStation Store and there it was. Requires one move controller. That is not true.
No.
Because a couple levels in, suddenly there's a gun in both hands.
Yes.
It depends on the level.
Yeah, it depends on the level, and there isn't really any warning. You just kind of like start it up and like, oh, this gun appeared. Because I found myself, like, I kept the right hand strapped to my wrist because that's going to be important later.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then I would just kind of like drop the left behind me. And so I'd be able to use two hands to aim and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, oh crap, this is a 2-weapon level. The levels, you do have a small variety of weapons, but there's a variety. There's a 9mm. There's a little submachine gun, Uzi kind of Tech 9 thing. There's a throwing knife. And those are your basic...
Are you a gun person?
Not really.
Do you know stuff about guns?
A little bit.
Okay, that's
I'm American,
than I know about. Well, I'm American too. Don't know anything about guns.
Are you getting your shipment this month?
People made fun of me on my Arizona Sunshine live stream because I didn't know how many like bullets were supposed to be in the chamber.
Oh, 9 rounds in a 9mm.
Yeah, I don't see things, stuff. I was like, like a 6-shooter. That's what I always heard that. That's a revolver, right?
Yeah.
See, that's the only thing I know.
It's got 6 bullets. It shoots 6 times.
Yeah.
So,
but the extent of my gun knowledge,
yeah.
I was playing with this and I was like, is this an Uzi? I don't even know what an Uzi is.
Yeah, well, so an Uzi is basically, it's kind of like that. It's actually a little more blockier and uglier than this thing was.
Okay.
Yeah. Uzis, when you absolutely positively need to kill every motherfucker in the room.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So they drop you into different scenarios.
Yeah, and there's one... it's weird. The reviews on this thing are all over the place. There's some people who are praising its accuracy and its reality. And like, there was one that said the kickback on the 9mm is so realistic. Like, no, that's...
The kickback?
Yeah. Because you pull the trigger and it, the move control vibrates a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no actual recoil. So this person has clearly never actually fired an actual handgun.
Was that my review? Because that sounds about right.
No, I didn't actually watch your review.
Good, because I watched my review today and it's horrible. It's 2 minutes of me being like, it's all right, I don't know.
Okay.
It was an early one. Sorry guys. I know where the 14 dislikes came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the basic weapons you have. Oh, and actually throwing stars. And eventually you do unlock some other scenarios and other weapons. I don't want to say you unlock the weapons. You don't really have your choice. You can't like go back and do a level with another kind of weapon.
No, they give you specific guns or specific weapons for specific levels.
Yes.
And they give you an objective. They said, do this in, well, basically all of them are pretty similar. Do this in the shortest amount of time possible. For the most part.
Yeah, but I would say the variation comes with, it isn't just shoot these targets and go. Some of them, the targets are stationary. Some of them, you have to discern between, good targets and bad targets. There's cardboard cutouts, and they do a nice little thing where the cardboard cutouts of the people, they're in the same posture, but sometimes they're holding weapons, sometimes they're not. So you really have to split second decide, is that a threat or not?
There was one guy, and I swear his textures weren't loading properly.
Okay.
But I guess he's holding a wine bottle like this.
Yes, that got me a couple times.
The texture wouldn't pop in for me, and it was like a blurry version of him, and I was like, he's obviously trying to shoot me with something.
Would you like some wine?
Right? And I'm like, no, sorry. And also everyone else seemed to load properly. Everyone else was totally clear, but there were two characters that I was a little conflicted on.
Okay.
There was the guy holding a grocery bag with a gun underneath, right? And I was like, I feel like this guy's just defending himself. He's coming from the grocery store. He's not going to lose this bag and and come after you. I was like, he's just trying to defend himself. He's probably shopping at the Walmart I have to shop at in the middle of the ghetto.
Let me guess, the lady in the red shirt?
No, but I definitely didn't want to shoot her either. I feel like, I didn't want to kill any of the girls. I don't want to kill anybody, man. Yeah. But they kept killing me. I had no choice. The other one was, and hold on, we're going somewhere with this. The police officer with a shotgun.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe he wasn't out there for like keeping the peace. I feel like maybe he was a rogue police officer. Maybe he was from that movie Falling Down, and he was just like had it, and he was just coming after everybody with that shotgun. If I saw a police officer walking down the street with a shotgun, I would be like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So that was actually, that took me a couple times to figure out, because I shot him once and like, oh, I must have accidentally shot something else. Then I did it again and I failed. I'm like, what's going on? You realize the weapon isn't aimed at you. All the other characters who have weapons that are threats, they're actually aimed directly at you.
That's fair.
Yeah. And the reason I mentioned the woman in the red dress is actually her posture is she's got a hand up in warning like this. Or she's got a gun too. So like you'll see her come up like this, like, oh, so if someone does that, that's usually not a threatening gesture. But
so a lot of different characters. This is very Hogan's Alley like. If you guys ever played that in the original
in fact,
NES.
There's a nod to Hogan's Alley.
Oh, was there a line or something?
So in one of the bonus ones you unlock is you get Dirty Harry's 357 Magnum.
Yeah.
And you're basically in this little alleyway where there's buildings, and it's like the first bank of Hogan or Hogan's Bank.
Oh right, I did see that today, and I didn't make the connection. I'm like, this is like Hogan's Alley. There's Hogan's Bank. Nothing.
Yeah.
So you're standing in one spot the whole time, right? So you're standing in a simulation center, right?
Yeah, it's very much, if we talk about games, one of the things I want from VR is my holodeck.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. I've got my holodeck.
Yeah, and so things will come down and like surround you, which it's good for a game. It's good for a person who isn't really familiar with VR because you never move. You just stand in one spot, and then the set changes around you. Things will come down like houses or like little town sets, or they'll put you inside of like a structure, and so you have to look out windows and stuff. But you stand still the entire time.
Right.
Yeah. So we already talked about some of the different weapons, but and we didn't mention all the weapons. There's not that many.
No. So there's the four I mentioned that are like your regular game ones, and there's the special ones you unlock in those bonus levels.
And you use like once and like almost never see again.
Right. There's the golden gun from the man with the golden gun. There's Oddjob's hat. There is RoboCop's gun. That was the big futuristic looking one.
It was like the very last level, right?
Yeah, I kind of jumped around a lot, so my tracking of which happens when is a little off. Crocodile Dundee's knife.
Indeed, actually, Crocodile Dundee's knife. The level's even called "That's Not a Knife" or "This Is a Knife."
Right, but it's called "That's Not a Knife," and hopefully you catch that reference because they dance around quite cleverly of saying what these actually things are.
Right,
but it's clearly like the golden gun. I think it's called like the powerful gun or something like that. But the second you look at it, like, oh no, it's
actually gold.
Yeah, this is Scaramancho's gun.
And we got in how many levels? There were 30 challenges, right?
Yeah,
total.
Yeah, that's my other. Man, one of the biggest complaints about this game is how short it is. It's only an hour long, and how non-varied the levels are. But actually, I would think if they just made like 4 or 5 levels of difficulty to each level, this game would massively expand in size, and all those complaints would go away because you'd actually see there is really a lot of variety in the type of scenarios they're presented with.
Yeah. I agree. It takes. I mean, if you blast through it, like it's pretty easy to get through.
Yeah.
Like the fail states are few and far between. Like if you're able to aim at all, you're pretty much good to go. And if you do die once, or you do kill a civilian or whatever, something like that, you can play the stage over pretty quickly. There's no repercussion for failing.
It's not like a 10-minute load screen or something.
Right. So the idea isn't to get through the entire thing as quickly as possible or to beat the game. The idea is to actually utilize these online leaderboards that we're talking about. And you can, check your friends and try to get better than them and constantly like redo each and every level until you feel like you've done the absolute best you can and see where you stand on the leaderboards.
Yeah.
And if you're that kind of person, if you love like classic arcade games where you're trying to get the high score, or if you just love shooting things and you're like really and you really consider yourself very accurate, then this gives a lot of replay value in that department.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. They had the setup there. It would have been very, very easy for them to create a massive amount of levels, like easily 10 times this many,
right,
if they had just put in a little more effort, it seemed like.
Yeah, and I think you guys are a good point there. Like, you see such a huge division between, reviewers, and I think that's exactly it. The people who are, no, I want to get good at this. Yep. Like, people who are like, just passing it isn't enough for me. I want to get lethal in every single one. I want to beat my own personal score. If you're that kind of person, you're going to love this game. There is so much of that, and it really is. As far as the guns go, the accuracy for the PSVR is really, really good. Notice how I underlined for the guns.
Should we talk about the non-gun weapons then?
Yeah.
Talk to me, because I want to know your opinion on this before I tell you how wrong you are.
Okay. I would say if you're within a 30-degree window, the throwing is pretty accurate. And in fact, I was noticing the throwing stars. It's like, wow, these are better than Super Hot. Because the throwing stars and Super Hot were the one thing where that beautiful game fell apart. But the second it's like outside of that window, all sorts of weird stuff starts happening. And you end up just throwing blindly and hoping you hit your target. But how wrong am I?
You're not wrong.
Okay.
Here's how you hit your target.
Yeah.
With a throwing star or with a knife. You look at it.
Yeah.
And that is it. The aiming is based on where you're looking. So you could actually be looking at the target here and throw the knife this way, and still the knife would be heading toward the focus of where you're looking.
See, I tried that because I was thinking it's like it was the Batarangs in the Batman VR had the same thing, but even more. Like, you looked and you could literally throw it and see it arc.
Right. I
don't think it was quite as much as the Batman. I mean, in general, yeah, but you still had to be throwing basically in that general direction. At least when I played it. I don't know.
I saw a lot of people had this issue. In fact, this was definitely an issue in my original review. In fact, because what I was doing was throwing.
Right.
And you shouldn't be throwing at all. It's like a quick flick of the wrist.
Oh.
The developers had to get involved.
Okay.
Because apparently when they built this thing for the Vive, it was a room scale and the whole deal, and then they were like, well, we're going to bring this over to PSVR, and we're going to build it for PSVR to PlayStation VR strengths. And they apparently didn't think that the PlayStation VR was capable of doing the thing that we needed to do for this game. Right. So they were like short, quick gestures instead of like long, arcing throws. Okay. And they said straight up, they're like, look at your target. That's where the knife will go. Oh. And I got to say that, like, once I saw that discussion online and gave it another shot, I was like, yeah, this is stupid easy. Although when you're throwing two knives back and forth, this is when you were talking earlier about the wrist straps. Man, put those wrist straps on, because when you start doing this, throwing knives as fast as you can, those wrist straps keep hitting you. Yeah, and it's super annoying.
There's also nice combo levels where you have a gun in one hand and a throwing knife in the other hand, and you have to throw, hit all your targets, but you must hit the gun targets with the gun and the knife targets with the knife, and they're actually moving in and out and past each other. So it's really, it takes some thinking and some planning and really observing what's going on. So,
and in fact, if you get really good at this game, then you start noticing that the targets, whether they be the people or the bullseyes or whatever, they don't disappear immediately once you hit them.
Nope.
So if you do get a bullseye and you think you have enough time to throw another knife or try to shoot it again, get another headshot, and you double your points, you can actually rack up your score really fast that way. And also if you get all bullseyes or all headshots without missing in a level, you get a perfect bonus as well.
Yeah.
So that'll really boost your score. And that's everything I know about this game.
Yeah, that's the one downside about this, is there really isn't much. But that's what I was wrestling with. Is that a downside, or in some ways I kind of like this? What do you think of the soundtrack?
There's music?
No, there isn't.
No.
There's no soundtrack.
In fact, the guns are really loud.
Yeah.
I had to turn my TV down.
Yeah, but guns are really loud. So, I'm going to give them that. There's no soundtrack. There's no extraneous plot. There's no plot, period.
There's no dialogue.
There's no dialogue. There's basically just do the thing, which I kind of found myself liking, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, when I originally reviewed this, I said it's super bare bones. It doesn't last very long, and it's got some tracking issues.
Yeah.
None of those things. It is super bare bones. It doesn't last very long. It definitely has. It doesn't really have any tracking issues. And I think that review went up originally.
Yeah.
This is the interesting part about this show, is that I can also see some of my own faults when it comes to original reviews, because back in the very early days of PlayStation VR, we didn't know that, like, if you left your console in rest mode, that, like, it could affect your tracking issues. We didn't know about, camera placement so much. We didn't know about these things. And so, like, I think I ran into issues for my review that I didn't know were solvable. And so I'm glad I got to give this one another chance, because I absolutely enjoyed it so much more this time around.
Yeah. Which leads us to?
What's that?
Which leads us to?
It's time to rate this thing, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's tell everyone what the scale is, because it's their first time watching this, and they're like...
It may be.
And they're like, man, you guys talk a lot.
And they made it this far. That's impressive. First timers.
No
way to go.
they made it this far.
So, number one, our scale goes 1, 2, 3. Number one is, this is absolutely something you have to have in your library. If you have a PSVR, you must buy this. Stop watching us, go buy it. 2 is... it's okay. If you like it, if it's a genre you really like, or if it's on sale or something like that, go ahead, pick it up. We're not going to make fun of you for it. Go let your freak flag fly. 3 is no. Do not buy this. Friends don't let friends buy junk. We need to tell these people this kind of behavior is unacceptable. So, what do you think? 1, 2, or 3?
What's funny about Lethal VR is that the number of times it reminded me of Cold Iron for various reasons.
Actually, that we didn't have that discussion, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Because of, obviously it's very, hey, here's a situation, shoot some stuff. Hey, here's a situation, shoot some stuff. There's that. The gun mechanics in both games work great. Also, when Cold Iron came out, it was a little overpriced and it kind of under-delivered. Yep. But eventually, the Cold Iron developers they said, you know what? Here's a patch that addresses 2 issues. 1, it doubles the amount of content we gave you.
Woohoo!
And then 2, we slash the price like by a significant amount. I think by a third, right? And the entire time I was playing this today, I was thinking, these guys need to take a lesson from the Cold Iron developers, double the amount of content, and then slash the price by a third. Make this a $10 game instead of a $15 game. I don't think we ever said how much it costs.
No, we didn't. That's
but it's a $15 game. It has been since launch. It's never gone. It's been on sale, but they've never dropped the price.
Yeah.
And it came out only 2 months after the PlayStation VR, right? December 20th, 2016. I don't think we said that either. We're really off our game today.
Oh, yeah.
Did we?
We was in the launch window.
All right. And so, and if they did that and basically just gave us twice as many stages, which doesn't seem like a difficult thing to do, as we discussed,
right,
and dropped it down to $10, that I would be like, this is a 1. This is a lot of fun. This is good stuff, and there's a lot of content here. But that being said, it's been out for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do the Cold Iron thing, because the Cold Iron guys did that like a month after it came out.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm giving this a 2. I think it's good. There's just not enough of it.
Yeah, I think this is. I'm actually going to echo that. I was on a knife's edge giving it a low 1, but I'm going to stick with the 2 for a lot of the reasons you just said. I definitely think you should pick this up if a shooting game is at all interesting to you. The Cold Iron conversation. Cold Iron is really creative, but the shooting part of it is less important than the figuring out the puzzle of the shooting.
Yeah, sure.
One point I forgot to make: people blast us for not having a variety of weapons, but that's not the point of this. The point of this game is not to let you feel what it's really like to fire a shotgun. It's to use the gun as a vehicle to test your accuracy and speed and skill. So you don't need a lot of different types of guns to do that. The same thing with Cold Iron. It wasn't really about trying to fire all these different weapons. that being said, my train of thought completely derailed.
I do like that you started off by saying that you didn't know if you were going to give this like a week 1 or not.
Yeah.
Because the fact that it even puts it there for you, I think says a lot about this game.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to what I said earlier. There are two types of, there are many types of players, but if you're the type who thinks, I'm going to try this run, I did okay, I can do better, you're going to love this game. If you're the, okay, I did this once, shrug, and move on, yeah, you're going to blow through this in 45 minutes, an hour, and you're never going to play it again. So that's if you're the, I need to get this right and finish it, then this is a 1 for you. If you're everyone else, yeah, it's a 2. Although I will say, a little pin, it's a nice intro VR game.
It is.
If you've got family or people, you don't really need to know much about video games, period. Just like, okay, here's the thing, pull the trigger, go.
But let me tell you what's a better intro VR game. Super Hot.
Oh, yeah.
What's a better intro VR game? Moss. What's a better intro VR game? Blasters of the Universe. What's a better intro VR game? We have a ridiculous metric ton of them now. In fact, there are so many wave shooters we could be buried under them in their digital. So
unless you have the militia friend who thinks he's just a badass, gun nut kind of person.
Super hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. We just have so many of these that I have a hard time saying this is the first game you should put your friends into.
No. Don't misquote me on that one. No, this is a good beginner VR game, but this, if you want to show off, hey, look how awesome this system is, maybe not the best choice.
There you have it. Definitely two solid 2s on a game that I honestly, going into it today, I spent hours with it today.
Yeah.
I really thought this was going to be a 3, and I'm really, really glad that I was wrong. I'm glad I got to go back and play this one again and blow the dust off of it, man, because there was so much dust on this one.
Yeah.
It really hasn't been touched since launch. I know that the patch notes say that they added global leaderboards, but I think that was really early on.
Yeah.
Really early on. So,
and I will say, if you, as Brian pointed out to me, if you think you're playing the tutorial, no, you're playing the game.
That was the worst part about this. Is when I remember knowing nothing about it when I first got it for review, and I played for the first 10 minutes. I was like, man, this is the longest tutorial ever. And I was like, oh, here we go, the next section. And I was like, this is the whole game.
Yeah.
So it's the whole time it's been pretty much the same thing back here.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to pose the same question I always pose for you. First, if you played Lethal VR, what did you think of it? Are you on our side, or did you hate it? Did you know how to throw knives in this game? It's such a strange thing to not kind of tell you in game.
Yeah.
So what did you think of it? Also, what other games do you want us to talk about on the show? We always have a short list, but we're always willing to add to it. We pretty much only do games that people ask us to do because, well, you ask us to do a lot of games. So that's good. Thank you for that. And that's it, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Another Monday has come and gone.
We're going to have some weird feedback on this one, I'm sure.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty divisive game.
I think we always get weird feedback.
Yeah,
I think our target audience, our demographic, is a weird demographic.
Go Team Weirdo.
Seriously, I love you all. All right, for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm still Desra.
And we'll see you next week.